Hello, hi, welcome or welcome back, wherever you are in the world. I hope it's not as muggy as it is here in Japan. If you just want to get straight to the book bashing review, then I'm going to have a little prologue first, so I'll leave timestamps below and you can just skip straight to that. But I wanted to do a little explaining first because I was kindly tagged by Mary from Books and Pizza. Is it Books and Pizza or Pizza and Books? Books and Pizza. Books and Pizza to do this anti-tbr tag, which I've seen a lot of booktubers do, and it's always fun to watch their answers. And so I enjoy watching these videos, but I've always thought I couldn't do it. And you know, I have actually failed at coming up with answers to the questions, and it's because the tag is all about books that you're not interested in reading, and I've just got this kind of perverse interest in basically everything. Like I'm a book whore. I open my eyes and my mind to whatever comes my way, and I fail to discriminate on so many levels, and it's a real problem, I think, to be honest. I read religious pamphlets, I read, the backs of soap boxes and stuff that, just doesn't need to be read, and it's a miracle that I have time to actually get to novels. When it comes to ethical stuff, like I feel economically I don't want to support certain people. I have so little money as it is, so why would I give it to a bigot? It just doesn't make sense. But if somebody said, here, please read this, then I probably would. There's a second thing that Mary brought up in tagging me, which was my name. She pronounced it Sebastian, and that is correct. Well done. She said correctly that I do not say it on this channel, and I don't, and I don't know, like, it's just like a thing. I mean, I didn't put too much thought into it. I just naturally don't say my name, I guess, and then it became, like my trademark, I guess. So I don't know, maybe I should. I guess that's what people do, don't they? Food for thought. Should I say my name more, or at all? I don't know, maybe I should do a poll or something. What do you think? Tell me in the comments. Do you need to hear my name more? Anyway, thank you so much, Mary, for tagging me and saying those lovely things about me. Do check out her channel. She's got this really bubbly personality, and she talks about such a wide, diverse array of books that it's always a pleasure to watch her videos. So I'll leave a link to the video where she tagged me below, especially because she says such lovely things about me. So I recommend that video in particular. But to compensate for not doing the anti-tbr tag, and just to prove to myself, really, that I am capable of strong negative emotions when it comes to books, I decided to do a good old-fashioned book review about a book I just finished recently that I really didn't like, and it's this one, The Gathering by Anne Enright. I had hopes for you. Oh, Anne, we could have had something special. I had high hopes for this, like for anyone who saw some previous videos, so it was a big disappointment. First of all, just marketed really badly. Like, listen to this blurb. The 9 surviving children of the Hegarty clan gathered in Dublin for the wake of their wayward brother Liam. It wasn't the drink that killed him, although that certainly helped. It was what happened to him as a boy in his grandmother's house in the winter of 1968. So it's a great setup, we got 9 people and a corpse and a mystery in the past, and family dynamics, and who are these people going to be, what's the thing that happened, it's a great hook, right? It says here as well underneath that The Gathering is a family epic, and I saw somewhere else it described as a family saga. So maybe epic, I think, is just stretching the truth, but family saga is a downright lie. A family saga, right, is when you have different generations and different stories, and we get to know those different stories as we read, right? This is a book about one person. This is a book about one of those siblings, and the other ones are side characters who we never know anything about. In fact, all the characters in this book are one-dimensional, apart from the narrator, who is sort of going through her memories, and it's called The Gathering, obviously, because of that gathering of siblings, because of the dead brother, but that doesn't happen for a very long time. So really, the gathering here means something else. Really, it means the gathering of memories and emotions and thoughts and sort of made up things to help this one character, who's called Veronica, come to terms with what's happened and sort of confront her own depression and attitude towards memory in general and her family, right? That's what it is. That's what The Gathering means. And I think even the title, this sort of double meaning of the title, is misleading, because it's way more one type of gathering than it is the type of gathering that you would expect. So yeah, bad marketing on all fronts. For me, apart from the theme of family, which is in this book, when you hear family saga or family epic, you think it's going to be about characters and it's going to be about plot, right? Lots of different stories all tied together. No, this book is not about characters. This book is not about plot even. This is exploration of themes from a single character's point of view. So it's kind of like an anti-family saga. It's the opposite of a family saga, if anything. This isn't necessarily to say that it's bad to make a book like that. It's just that I was really expecting, I don't know, I didn't have a strong sense of what to expect from this, but it wasn't just a single depressed narrator fantasizing about her grandparents having sex for pages and pages and pages. Not that there's anything wrong with that. In fact, the sex scenes, which I'll come more to later, were like one of the redeeming features. So all of that is not to say that what's here is bad. Like, it's actually got some really interesting ideas. It's exploring the human connections that we make in a lifetime that are most personal to us, like family and lovers and so on. And I think I read somewhere Anne Enright said that she was interested in writing about the connection between hatred and desire. And that is a really fascinating topic, I think, and it's something which, that interesting book is buried here in this very boring book, I think. But what really fails is that there is no connection between the reader and the book. At least there wasn't for me. It begins the first scene, right, is the narrator, Veronica, goes to her mum's home to tell her that Liam has died, her brother has died, this woman's son has died. So the first scene is incredibly dramatic, right? And that's such a difficult thing to write with, at the very beginning of a book, when we have no connection to these characters whatsoever. We begin with just like this heart-rending grief, and it just completely fell flat for me. And it's just almost like, when someone's really grieving, if you're outside of the situation, if you're disconnected, maybe you feel bad for them, but you don't know what they're going through. The human reactions to extreme emotions are ridiculous and funny when seen from a remove, right? It's like laughable. So yeah, I thought it was a really rocky start. It was a really hard way to start. I don't know why she chose to start the book like that, to be honest, unless she wanted to create this sort of disconnection between the reader and the characters. And maybe that is part of the reason, because I think this is a good representation of depression, and the main character is obviously depressed, and often when it comes to people who have depression, you can't really connect to them, you can't really get into their head and feel what they're feeling. That's one of the hard things about depression, but unfortunately, this isn't a person, this is a book, and I need to be able to connect emotionally to it in order to get something out of it. So yeah, that was a big problem for me. Going back to the plot, although I think by now it's clear this isn't a book about plot, but going back to the plot, the plot happens twice in this book, twice, and I'll tell you the times that it happens. So here we are on page 13. The seeds of my brother's death were sown many years ago. The person who planted them is long dead. At least that's what I think. So if I want to tell Liam's story, then I have to start long before he was born. Page 13, it's established, the brother's dead, but something happened in the past, and we're going to go back and we're going to gradually get to that thing. Then there's, just lots of memories, lots of thinking, lots of sadness, lots of reflecting about her own stuff that's going on now. Fast forward to page 142. We are now halfway through the book. Nothing's happened, and we get this out of the blue. It is time to put an end to the shifting stories and the waking dreams. It is time to call an end to romance and just say what happened in Ada's house the year that I was 8 and Liam was barely 9. And then she tells us, I won't say here because it's a spoiler, but she tells us what the thing is that happened that she thinks had led to his death later on. And then that's it, it's been told. And, I'm actually someone who likes books where a big change happens right in the middle of the book. I like when the first half is totally different from the second half, or at least there's some big thing that makes us sort of sit up and pay attention halfway through. But after we've learned the whole story, basically, it just continues exactly the same way as it had done before. She's like, enough of memories, I'm going to tell the facts, and then she goes straight back into the memories. And you don't get a sense of character development or growth, really, and I don't think you're supposed to, but it's hard to read. Now, as I kind of insinuated before, there are good things in this book. There are things that I liked very much. The prose is like wonderful, immaculate. Anne Enright is a great, talented writer, obviously. It's also a book which I would call wise, which is not a word that I would usually use to describe a book, but she uses her great poetic prose, not just in a flowery way, but to describe things that feel really true, and when you read them you go, yeah, that's perfect, that's exactly how that thing is, whether it's to do with family connections or sex. She writes the best sex scenes that I have ever read, and that was a high point for the book. It's often like, an interesting part about them is that it's the narrator imagining her grandparents having sex, which isn't something that she was obviously able to see, so it's kind of telling us something about her psyche, like why is she investing so much energy in her story, which is supposed to be about the trauma of her brother's death, into the minute details of her grandparents' sex life. And that is sort of something which gets explored as it goes on. Can you say like sexual wisdom? Like that sounds like, for me, like a kind of appropriate term for what I felt when I was reading a lot of this book. I felt wise. It felt like, and I noticed actually, ow, that really hurt. Damn, the book is fighting back. I'm sorry. I'll try. I'm saying the nice part now. Jeez. I noticed on Goodreads that like there were quite a few reviewers who, one of the reasons they really didn't like this book was because of the sex. Like they thought it was really weird or icky, and I was honestly like astounded by that, because I just felt bad for them. If that was a bad part of the book for you, then what was the rest like? Because for me, honestly, that was a saving grace. So yeah, if that's something, if you feel like squeamish or sort of like morally aghast by having to read the word penis quite a lot in a book which is supposed to be about family and trauma and stuff, then maybe this isn't for you, amongst all the other reasons that I think this book isn't for a lot of people. But honestly, like, the sex scenes are amazing. She has such variety in terms of describing like good sex to middling sex to like bad sex, and then also passing through into abuse, actually. So yeah, that's a content warning as well. But she makes the word glans sound sexy. So I can't give it higher praise than that, to be honest. I also liked how each chapter kind of had its own weight and balance, to the point that like when you got to the end of a chapter, even though they're quite short, it felt like you'd completed a little like revolution, as in like a cycle, through one memory or through one idea, through one musing, and that gave it some structure, because otherwise it would be very unstructured. But that's another thing. Like, I felt that if it had either more plot or less plot, it would have worked. If there was less plot, then it would be really like hazy and dreamlike, and you would be trying to figure out like, who are these people? What are the connections between them? Why is she interested in this kind of thing? And like, oh, that guy's her brother? And like, you'd have to be figuring things out and making the links for yourself as you read, and it would give the reader a sense of progress and like, like being involved in trying to piece together this person's fragmented trauma. But actually there's just enough plot that you don't need to do that. And if there'd been more plot, then obviously it would have been a good story. So yeah, it had just the amount of plot in it to make it really dull, for me personally. And another thing was that, like, because the prose was like all I had to go on, because the prose was really good, then there were times when it was sort of less than perfect, or even just like a bit bad, and it really stood out for me. Whereas in another book, I would probably not even notice or pass over it because I'd be invested in other things like character and plot and so on. in this one, because I was just like hanging on the words, because that was the main reading, the draw of reading, yeah, there were certain bits and like things that I personally don't like in writing, like those one-line paragraphs. And what else? Here on page 168, there's this little paragraph all to itself which goes, "This is what shame does. This is the anatomy and mechanism of a family, a whole fucking country drowning in shame." Now, like, I think there's maybe a little bit of humor in there with the word fucking. Like, I think it's meant to also, like, the fucking country is also like a country full of people fucking, I think is the idea. But the main thing of, like, drawing the parallel between family and country here, like, oh, it's actually not just about her family, it's about Ireland. I didn't feel that for most of it. Like, there were definitely bits in it, like the connection. The brother dies in the UK and they have to wait for the UK to give the body over, and there's sort of like a little bit of tension there. But really, like, I didn't think this was a book about Ireland at all. And having that sentence which sort of suggests to you, like, really on the nose, oh look, maybe the family in Ireland are actually the same thing. It's like, it just really rubbed me up the wrong way. It just felt way too obvious, and it didn't match the rest of the book. There's like one of the brothers who goes to Peru, and he's like an ex-priest living in Peru, and I really want to know his story. And when he turns up at the funeral, I was like, just give me the book of Ernest. Tell me, that sounds like a biblical thing, but yeah, just tell me what Ernest is doing. I don't care about this person's depression, because I've been here in her head so long, and she's still such a stranger to me that, I hope she makes it through, honestly. But I just want to read about Ernest at this point. I want to know, why did he stop being a priest in Peru? Why did he go to Peru in the first place? Just tell me about Ernest. That's what I wanted from this book. And of course, he's not in it at all, really. I got excited every time he was mentioned, but he's yeah. So if you are looking for a book with story and character and originality, then do not go for this one. I would rate this 0 out of 10. If you are interested in good prose and exploration of themes and good sex scenes, then yeah, I would give this a 8 out of 10. Oh, also stream of consciousness. It's like, it's got lots of stream of consciousness, and I think that's just not for me, and I think it is for a lot of people. So if you like stream of consciousness, then maybe this would do it for you. So yeah, that is my book review for The Gathering by Anne Enright. A lot of it felt like non-fiction to me, so I feel like her non-fiction might be really great. And she has written non-fiction, but I'm not in a rush to check out anything else by her at the moment. Although I hope to at some point, I want to give her the benefit of the doubt. But for now, yeah, it's not happening. Oh, I didn't even mention that this won the Man Booker Prize in 2007. So this is a highly acclaimed book, and I guess if you're like judging a book on its ability to be emotionally and sort of psychologically truthful to stuff in life, then I guess this would rate highly. But that's not how I judge my books, so like, at least it's not the only criteria. So yeah, I'm sure it's for some people, it's not for me. That's that then. That's The Gathering by Anne Enright. That's my gathering of thoughts on the subject. Hope you and your families are all very happy and safe and well, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye.